All right. Welcome back to part two of the MrBeast expose. I believe there's 3 or 4 parts coming in this series, and this one gets a little bit better. Although there is a bit of a criticism that I and other people have is like, and it's basically this: a lot of these videos start out either very poorly and they've got like something very good in them, or most of the information is backloaded. They want to save the best for last, and that makes sense from a sort of progression standpoint. But I think if your goal is to expose and destroy MrBeast, or at least let people know what he's actually like behind the scenes, I feel like you should lead with your strongest thing first. But what do I know? This guy Dogpack404, he uploaded this video yesterday, and it's already got 7.4 million views. So maybe he's just doing everything correct. But I mean, I do have some audio visual criticism, but there is some pretty interesting stuff in here. This one, apparently the best part is the last 9 minutes. I have previewed it a little bit, and it's interesting because you've got this like die for MrBeast. You've got to die in the Beast games. You've got the victim's age 1 to 11, more PDF files, Jimmy New, and a bit of fire coming under to I think this guy's named Jake Franklin, Jake the Viking. So this guy's was a very heavy critic of MrBeast from the very moment that the Ava Chris Tyson documents dropped. He was the hashtag Jimmy New guy, and it seems like this guy knew a bit more than he was leading on, and he has to, do a bit of a tweet longer to expose what he did himself. Apparently, this MrBeast email was leaked. This is an email from MrBeast that says, I wanted to do an update on all of you to the recent concerns that have been raised online and to the press. As mentioned in my tweet a couple of weeks ago, we've hired Quinn Emanuel, a top law firm. Top men are on the job now. Top men, Lois, to do an investigation of the Ava Tyson allegations. We also asked them to expand the scope to include the full assessment of our internal culture and investigate allegations of inappropriate behavior in the company. While the process is not complete, I have enough preliminary information at this point that I am announcing several changes today. As your leader, I will take responsibility, and I am committed to improve and evolve my leadership style. While I have been mostly focused on creating content, launching festivals, building a community, and also toys. He just put out a toy line for little kids. And leading to our community efforts, I recognize that I need to create a culture that makes all our employees feel safe and allows them to do their best work. So this is a very positive email for MrBeast. Like, it's like, yeah, we're taking these allegations seriously. We've hired an investigation guy. We're going to make things safe for you. And then this was leaked by Drama Alert. Obviously, this was sent directly from MrBeast to Keem or Drama Alert so that they can make themselves look a little bit better. But we'll get into this video now, and then we'll go through the other stuff a bit later. It starts off with a bit of a content cop parody. I'll skip past some of it. If you want to see the entire thing, then you can go watch it on not Dogmeat. I keep saying Dogmeat. Dogpack404's video. But before we get into that, I should address Diamonds and Henna with $5. Says good coverage of Rakada. Thank you very much. There'll probably be a supplementary stream on Sunday, maybe at the regular time. But I can't do it tonight because in about 10 hours we're doing a cringe van watch party, remembering the good old days. Unless something really bombastic drops today, and tomorrow I'm going to the beach. It's so hot outside, so I've got to get my swimming in. Got to get that swimmer's body going. Lose a bit of weight. But yeah, maybe I'll be back Sunday. So you can probably expect a stream on Sunday. I've got a poll. Which stream time do you like better? There's another time I want to try as well, which is 2 hours earlier than this. So if you have a preferred stream time, let me know. But typically the streams at my regular time won't stop. That's the best time for me because it's like in the evening, right? All right, let's get it. Let's see what's going on here. But I'll skip it in a little bit. But there's a bit I want to show you.
Hungry? All right, jokes for food.
We'll write jokes for food. This guy is a unemployed comedian, basically, and he used to work for MrBeast, and he claims in this video that he is the victim and suffering from PTSD from what it basically amounts to Geneva Convention violations. Now, if you think that's maybe exaggerating a little bit. That's fair. That's fair. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'll skip to the bulk of the video. Got this discount content cop going on, which is it's kind of nostalgic. It kind of beats them up, and then there we go. Jump into the main part of the video. We'll try and watch this at one point. We'll see what it sounds like.
Okay, content cop from Temu back at it again. So just before I get into my interrogation with former MrBeast employee Jake Weddle, a lot has happened since my last video.
I think we'll go at normal.
I got hundreds of messages from former MrBeast employees, and I had them all send proof of former employment. Just people showing their support or telling their stories of fake videos.
All right, let's go back and read some of these actually, because I'm curious. Let's see. No, not about Chris. This was some producer. Unfortunately, I can't speak too much on that, but I believe someone else who reached out to you has more info on it. Big thing I can talk about is just about how much other stakeholders had their time and energy wasted. I was asked to get doctors and organizations fired up about working with us, only to pull the rug on them after agreeing to arrangements. It's quite uncomfortable for me. Big reasons why I left, but not the biggest. There was just so much malevolence and hostility within the team. They were pretty slow to axe one pretty awful team lead in particular. And also ex-coma. The coke fiend made you. That's not true. Thank you very much for the 50. All right, let's see.
Fake videos or unsafe practices.
Unsafe practices. Let's see. In the world's most dangerous trap video with Mac, the reason Mac loses when he does is that it was actually the final trap build. There were no other rooms, so Mac personally took a dive at the last possible moment. Working conditions, it's not uncommon to see people sleeping in the office because they worked all night. The higher-ups routinely mock the idea of a work-life balance. Everyone that works there is very aware of how awful the company is for one's mental health, the ability to maintain relationships outside the beast. During Coofening, Tyler Conklin routinely made fun of Coov regulations, while actively having and transmitting Coof to multiple members of the crew. The dangerous conditions of the Amazon show are not new. Multiple contestants were sent to hospital on the Olympics video due to the sets being built last second and not appropriately tested for safety. I've seen this. I've seen a lot of these allegations actually, and it doesn't surprise me. Like a lot of the videos seem like they could be very dangerous, and they're kind of operating in this kind of gray space where they are, not like a major production, but they do put out some content that is rivaling what you would see on something like Wipeout or like typical game shows, and they might not have these safety protocols in place. It's pretty common, really. Like there was a new video on MrBeast's channel actually. They gave me a little bit of concerns, and that is, I'll show you what it is. I'll show you, because the thing is, a lot of people have already forgotten about the MrBeast stuff. A lot of people don't really care at all. They're just business as usual. His latest video came out 5 days ago. It's got 125 million views, I should say. And it's a pretty dangerous one when you really think about it. So the premise of this video, is that MrBeast builds a bunker and he puts a man and a woman down there, and they've got to survive for 100 days. So it's like another isolation challenge, and he does a lot of these. And when I was watching this, because I wanted to check out if there was anything like any extra Chris things and everything, or any like admission or anything. When I was watching this, all I could think of was like, holy shit! Like, I hope that there's got someone that's dedicated to monitoring the oxygen levels down there. Like these two might just suffocate. It seems like they did it fine, but maybe they fake this one as well. Who can say? There's something particularly scummy / maybe very intelligent. You can judge for yourself that came up in this one. So there's an ad that occurs. I'm trying to find it. It's probably pretty early. Okay, here it is. So this is a sponsored video, and it has an ad. Now, what he does, watch this, okay? So I'll make this big for you. So talk about Monster Hunter now, and
mobile game from kind of like Pokemon Go. Does that make either of you want to play it?
This is awful timing for this.
Come on. And to really showcase
you see what's happening?
I need to go to the server.
So he's got this little progress bar down here. Now, this is kind of clever, because a progress bar, it tells the viewer when the ad is going to be over, but it does something very sneaky that I wouldn't have noticed, honestly, if it wasn't pointed out to me. So the progress bar initially starts really quickly,
Whether
Like,
or
what-
not they won 200 grand.
What's the
You wanna
progress bar?
play it?
See,
This is
hold on, go
awful.
back
Play
10
mobile
seconds.
game from
Look how
Niantic.
fast this bar's
Kinda like
moving.
Pokemon Go. Does that
right?
make either of you want to?
So you think the ad's going to be over really quickly, but then look at the last part of the ad. It slows down to a crawl.
Plus, MrBeast swords, shields, and other in-game items.
Absolute
Click the description or
crawl.
scan this QR code to download Monster Hunter now and use code MrBeastHunt to get special items for
So
free.
what do you think? Do you think this is like just a clever use of engagement or a very manipulative? Because you're like, if you see the progress bar moving that fast, you're like, oh yeah, the ad's going to be over in a second. Why would I bother skipping? And then it just slows down. So the ad's like a minute or something, right? I think it's like a full minute, and it makes it look like it's going to be 10 seconds. It's very sneaky. I'll give him that. Very, very clever. Very, very clever. And all right, we'll go back into this. All right, and we'll see what Dogpack has to say.
Is toxic workplace, stuff like that. I'm not really going to get into those claims because, for one, like, most people want to stay anonymous, which I understand, and also, like, I think most of that stuff's just been covered with the news coming out about Beast Games and everything. And also, I have like more serious allegations that I want to start covering. Also, I heard from a very credible source that MrBeast has been sitting on a response to part 1 because he was worried if he posted it, I would instantly respond with part 2. Like this is Kids Bop, Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. Also, I know MrBeast's secret CEO has been practically like harassing my people on, hey, what's in part 2? What does he know?
So when I was listening to this, the first thing I thought was like, what do you mean what people you have? Like, isn't this just one guy? Like, obviously he has some people leaking to him, but like, is there a team behind this guy? I thought it was just one dude who's making these, like, certainly they're entertaining, but they're obviously very amateur. It kind of makes me wonder if there is anyone behind, like, helping this guy, or if he's just like kind of saying this to sound like he's more important than he is. I mean, like I said, he was getting millions of views on these videos, but does he have a team? Who are his guys? Like, if I say that people are investigating my guys, do I mean like Max? I mean, what are you talking about?
So I will just tell you, James, what will be in part 3, so you don't have to harass my people. It will be about serious allegations of sexual misconduct in the company and your direct involvement in covering up those crimes.
Allegedly.
And I'll make sure to give you full credit and plaster your face all over the screen when we talk about that. So yeah, I've gotten dozens of messages from former MrBeast employees of very serious allegations. So I just want to put a call to action at the start of this video.
It's hot. My aircon,
if you have a story, you can DM me. Just make sure you send proof of employment first, because I get a lot of DMs. And like, as much as I meme and joke around, like, I take anonymity very seriously. So without explicit permission, I don't go public with anything. And obviously, if it goes to court, I would hope they would censor your information from the court documents. I don't know. And former contestants too. That's another thing.
I like that little disclaimer he threw in there. I'll keep your information secret, but if it goes to court, I don't know, lol. You got to throw those. Like when you give your bro financial advice, mate, you got to put everything into Nike. We're going to be millionaires, but I don't know, lol.
I heard after posting my last video is during the 100 boys versus girls video, I have people corroborating the same story that the camera guy who gave the girls a drone was making some girls feel uncomfortable. You trap these.
Wait, let's go back. I want to see that. All right. Let's see. MrBeast Creative. Hey, this is Dogpack. I was DM'd by another contestant in that video that said there was a male employee on the production team was making some girls feel uncomfortable. They told me who it was, but I'm wondering if you can collaborate the story. Did you see or hear anything? I have no idea about the guy's name, but someone does come to mind. Nothing particular happened to me, but I believe I was one of the cameramen. Oh, he was one of the cameramen. He was constantly vaping, and I remember he taunted a few girls who were jealous of him for having a vape. Personally, I avoided most of the crew, so I can't say I experienced anything inappropriate by any of the staff. Also, great video, bro. That's nice. Hey, I appreciate it. That sounds great. Okay, then there's just some glazing. Let me see. Did you see or hear any of the production staff acting inappropriately with contestants? Yes! Exclamation point. I don't remember his name, but the guy who gave a girl a drone in the video was constantly coming into the circle and being very flirtatious with some of the girls, which was so weird given the circumstances. I remember hearing girls joking about Stockholm Syndrome, but given how many of us were sleep deprived and high on paint fumes, it honestly makes sense. And then there was one final one that says, I know in the 100 boys versus girls video that they fed us boys hours after the girls. Women privilege again. Unbelievable. No, but let's see. That is pretty sus if they're feeding the girls first, because they did say that they wanted the girls to win, so it wouldn't be controversial, or at least very close, right? So they fed the girls hours before the boys each time, and it got really on our nerves because it became blatantly obvious they wanted the girls to win. I know the camera guy who gave the girls the drone was being extremely inappropriate with the girls since I started talking to them after the shoot. Made me feel very uncomfortable. Drone people are weirdos. No, I say that because I'm an avid drone user. A bit of self criticism there.
comfortable. You trap these girls in a circle and make them sleep on rough turf and get them high on paint fumes, and then you try to f them.
Okay, that seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro.
I think I am.
Yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Fantastic meme reference clip. Much better than the 5 minutes of SpongeBob that was at the previous video.
Anyway, so that will be part 3. So, MrBeast, do with that information what you will. I know Chucky didn't want to respond to those allegations.
Who's Chucky? Co-founder of ViewStats. I also run MrBeast Ideas, Thumbnail Team, Love Data, and Making Great Videos. So ViewStats is actually a really good website. It's basically Social Blade, but it has some advantages over Social Blade. It's very good for looking up channel analytics, but I guess it's run by bad people. So there you go. Chucky, @Chucky, co-founder of ViewStats, and the other co-founder I believe is actually just MrBeast. But I've noticed that there isn't really any competition for Social Blade except for ViewStats. And the really good thing about ViewStats, and again, this is like stuff that non-people, probably nobody but me cares about, is it allows you to see historic data on thumbnail analytics. So you can see when a YouTuber changes their thumbnail and what changes that has on the interactions, which is very good for research, but I know it's very boring to you, so I won't talk about it anymore.
So anyway, my interview with Jake Weddle, I chose to interview him because I thought he was perfect because he was both on camera and behind the scenes in 2019 and 2020. And also, what people don't know is that he came back in 2021 to be the sole contestant of a MrBeast video, which never got uploaded because it went very badly. He also knows about another portable document format who's working.
So the PDF files, they know about them in the company.
Yeah, MrBeast while actually on the registry. And I'll get more into that story at the end of the video. So I got his DM, drove straight to New York overnight, did not sleep, just drank a bunch of caffeine. And I also only had one microphone in the interview, which he's wearing. So it's mostly just him talking. Also, like, final thing, people said my last video started slow. This video also starts slow. It builds up over time. But I'll do the retention thing and say, the ending will blow your mind. It's crazy.
The ending is kind of crazy. I will give him that. He does deliver on this promise, and there's nothing wrong with clickbaiting someone, provided you deliver on it. It's not clickbaiting, that's click blessing people. But again, if your goal is to take down MrBeast, you really should lead with the best. Get people hooked, and then show them this interview, which is honestly interesting. But the stuff at the end is actually just like kind of wild.
Yeah. Okay. Jake Weddle, everybody.
I'm Jake Weddle. Most people who, if you know me from MrBeast, I'm a deep cut. I'm in a few of the videos, sometimes maybe purposefully kept to the shadows a little bit. I'm in the cutting room floor a lot of the time. But I've been in some videos. I've worked on a lot of them. I was there from 2019 to 2020, 2021-ish when I came back and did some more. I was there when they were authentic, and then I saw the transition to what I feel like is a company. He's like a TV show now. It went from YouTuber guy with a camera to Amazon. The culture around there was very unspoken, but there was a vibe. There was half the people who, if you made Jimmy happy, you were on the good half. And these people got random bonuses and were usually moved up, had more screen time. And then there was people who, if you had a disagreement or butt heads with Jimmy or just you didn't like it.
So I've heard this from about MrBeast before, and it kind of sounds like just like a little bit of cope. But the more and more I look into it, the more it seems like Jimmy literally just doesn't understand how human interactions work, besides actual transactional transactional behavior. So if MrBeast does something for you, he'll give you, or you'll get more attention. If you do something for him, you'll get more money. It seems like he's just surrounded himself with those sort of people, and that may be because he was so young when he started doing this, and of course because everything he does is focused on basically money, rewards, wealth gains. It's kind of sad, really. Like maybe he just never had the chance to kind of develop as a young man, especially where nobody cares about what you can do. Because sorry, let me rephrase this. I didn't really put that very well. I haven't really had my morning coffee yet, even though it's almost lunchtime. But men spend the early parts of their lives being basically worthless to society. You have to prove your worth as a man, and that time you spend as a young man, like, and I'm going to say between 18 and like even late 20s, maybe even like, let's say 18 to 30, you're basically just a clog in the machine, and nobody cares what you say. And your personality develops a lot during that time. Now, there's a theory that when you make it, when you become rich, or when you've got everything that you need, your personality stops developing. And that's what you see with like a lot of kids that have trust funds, right? There's no reason for them to improve their personality because they can always buy a new friend. Is that what happened to MrBeast, or was that always like, was he always like that? You see it with a lot of famous people as well. Like as soon as they become famous, their personality just stops growing. So it's very sad for a lot of child stars and a lot of musicians that like hit it young, because they just decide that like everybody loves me, and if there's someone that doesn't, I'm just going to ignore them because there's another person on the block. But when you're a child or when you're a man, especially like I said in the young years, you don't really get that. You have to try to negotiate and prove your worth to people, and that does a lot to building your character. So maybe it's just unfortunate because of the way MrBeast has structured his life that he never learned the difference between a real friend and the friends that you buy.
No, you were the other half. And I consistently was in the half that Jimmy doesn't like me. That's fine. I don't like him either. It's okay. Oh, that's what's so good to say. I don't like Jimmy. I hate you so much. He didn't want anyone to get more popular or have more of a way out necessarily. Like, oh, I'm doing my Twitch thing on the side. Don't do that because you could get famous and leave and talk about me negatively. And I could tell that the yes men were, doing well. And I was, disgruntled for quite some time. So I've talked to reporters, right? Like publicly. And I've always had to choose my words very, very carefully because I don't want to say anything I don't stand behind, obviously. So I used to talk to people. I used to glaze Jimmy publicly for things I do genuinely think are true. But then it's like, well, how come you didn't talk about the working conditions? Well, I wanted a career. I didn't want to, speak ill of YouTube's golden boy and then I'm blacklisted forever. I tell people I was talking to you, and they go, "Don't, what are you doing? You're going to kill your career." It's like, I have to, or I'll be sad.
So this is actually mentioned in the video, but James Too Filthy says, MrBeast has done a great job on his image. Everybody I tell this about says, isn't MrBeast that amazing philanthropy guy? So MrBeast does do a lot with the wealth that he's accrued and with his, with his videos and with his wealth. And it probably, I don't know, it's hard to think about, right? Because there's a difference between charity and transactional helping the world. So when MrBeast builds 100 houses in Africa, that's an objectively good thing. Well, I guess some people might argue not, but let's say it's an objectively good thing, right? But he doesn't do it for charity. It's not charity. It's a business expense. Now, the net gain is that MrBeast makes a fuck ton of money and 100 people get houses in Africa. So I think that's fine, really. But it's like kind of this old question that, like, if you're giving a homeless person $10,000 for a video, is that a good act or is it a manipulative act? I would probably argue like a more utilitarian take on this, where I think that both parties have reached something that is preferable to their previous situation. The homeless person obviously wants $10,000, even though they're probably going to waste it on drugs or some shit. I don't know. But, is it really? I don't know. It's something that I'm not quite sure about. Because, like, it is taking advantage and using people to, make a lot of money. But on the same time, you did just build 100 wells in Africa. So maybe I'm okay with it. I don't know. It might be dangerous to say anything nice about MrBeast in this video, because people get a bit grumpy if you have a nuanced take, or if you don't just say MrBeast bad. But I think that he has done a lot of good shit, although two wrongs, well, not two wrongs don't make a right, but the ends don't necessarily justify the means, even though I have said that in the past that they do. But I was kind of being a little bit facetious there. Let's continue. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm very curious about this take. Do you think it's, that's the question. Do you think it's a good thing to give a homeless person $10,000 if you make $100,000 off the video? I think we can all agree it's not charity. It's not because he's a good person, but is the result good? That's the question.
If this is the moment, we're going to talk about it. So as far as that, that's my covering up of why we didn't talk about XYZ sooner, but now you know.
What would you say is the fakest video that you worked on while you were there?
Fakest video that I worked on while I was there. This is the extent of the fakeness that I was involved to. This is like admitting to my complicity. I was a writer there, and we were working on a video crushing my friend's car with a rock or meteor or something. It was a rock or a meteor in the title of it. I can't remember, but he wanted to do a prank where, unbeknownst to the person, he takes a rock, crushes their car, and they're supposed to think a rock came out of space.
We're gonna take a meteor and we're gonna put it on Weddle's car. We're gonna take another meteor and put it on Marcus's car. Both of them have no idea that we're doing this. Weddle and Marcus are probably shocked.
I haven't seen this video, but like nobody's going to believe for a second that's a meteor. It's obviously just a big fucking stone. Like it doesn't even look like a meteor, but like I guess this is, again, the content appeals to children. So obviously the reactions are going to be fake. Oh wow, big rock fell on my car. It must be a meteor. There's no heat damage. There's no crater. There's nothing. Oh wow, it's a meteor. It's Jimmy. It's a meteor. Of course it's done. Of course it's fake. Like all the like destroying people's properties videos are always fake, unless it's like some weirdo on TikTok in the mall, like snipping someone's like headphones or something. Any of these things, because of course it'll be, you know, potentially a crime. It doesn't matter if you break someone's shit and then buy them a new car, a better car. You broke their shit. That's their shit. It's not yours to break.
They had no idea.
And so that was the one and only time I had to, my car? What? And on the fly, I saw him, because Marcus was in that video. So Marcus is calling his mom. Marcus genuinely had no idea. He genuinely had no idea. But so Marcus is calling his mom, and his mom's freaking out.
True.
And I'm like, oh no, they're going to call my mom next. So I had to text my mom, who had to beg to get the title very quickly. Now I'm texting my mom. I go, Mom, I'm about to call you about the meteor thing. You have no idea? Be surprised. And then I hit send, and then they go, call your mom now. And I call my mom and I tell her, and oh, she should have got the Oscar. Oh my God, on the fly. She goes, what? I'm on vacation. Mom, my car has been destroyed.
Wait, what?
A meteor hit it.
Jacob, I'm on vacation. Do you understand?
So this is a neat story, and I don't think that he's lying, but since MrBeast fakes a lot of videos and he does a lot of retakes, why would he need to just text his mum like, quick, you gotta get ready so that it's happening live? It wasn't happening live. They could have just done a second take where he said like, Mum, I'm gonna call you in a second, act surprised. They knew it was fake from the outset. Like, so why not just do another take? You don't need to do this. Again, I'm not doubting him. This is probably how it occurred. I have no reason to doubt him at this time. But it's kind of just a silly thing to do if you're already faking the video. Just say, all right, guys, I just need to call my mum and tell her to act surprised.
But yeah, I did that video, and they're supposed to give me 10K.
Oh, sorry, I should address this as well. There's one other thing. Memecopium doesn't give homeless people money. That's true. I never give homeless people money, and I'll never give homeless people money. I do actually do some donations to various causes, but not to homeless people, because those homeless people, they like on the street, the beggars, they make actually quite a bit of money. You would be surprised. They make hundreds of dollars a day sometimes, but they just keep moving the money. Like it's all the homeless on the street are basically, you actually can't help them really by giving them money. It's just an example of giving to charity when I say like giving money to a homeless person. But I do help out where I can, but not to homeless people, or not to beggars at least.
To put a down payment on a new car, and they wanted me to get like a big flashy new car. 10K was supposed to be a down payment, and I can't afford a big flashy new car because I work at MrBeast. So I couldn't get anything I couldn't afford the taxes on. I couldn't get anything I couldn't afford the insurance on. So I do my part of the video, and I get a mom van that I could afford. And Jimmy was like, why didn't you get a cooler car? I was like, I can't afford that, bro. Come on, what are you talking about? You know, if I was working on it.
This is apparently a real thing, like just in American culture. I've heard stories of people working in the tech industry, and they're like, I've got to buy a Tesla, otherwise I'm going to get fired. Otherwise, I won't be able to fit in with my friends. Yeah, like little like clicks and everything absolutely exist in sort of companies. It's stupid. Like, just make proper financial decisions.
TV show in the 90s on a show that was a
That's actually a
quarter
funny one.
successful,
Yeah.
I could retire today. But now I make dog shit pay, making gajillionaires more money. And I just walked into the writer's room. And that's one of the reasons why I left, was because I just walked in there and asked for not necessarily a gajillion dollars, but maybe a salary that was more proportional to the work I was doing, given how much revenue that work was doing. And then, I talked about that, and I talked about the Writers Guild and how this is what Writers Guild industry standard is for the streaming internet content with ads. I thought that was the closest thing to YouTube. And I didn't even bring up residuals because, oh my God, if I got residuals for every video I worked on, boy, howdy, I can retire. But
there is some good criticism of MrBeast coming, but I don't know about this one. The residual on YouTube videos, like, come on now. Like, come on now. You were paid to do a job, right? And maybe you were mistreated. In fact, I would say that he was mistreated. But you accepted a job knowing well what you were going in to do it, and you're trying to make it in the scene. You're trying to become a comedian, and you try and go through by doing it like a MrBeast videos or something. Like, again, he does get mistreated later in this video, but he knew what he was getting into initially, at least.
the other thing I talked about was there was another writer there, older comic, black guy. He had a kid.
How much money is he making now? Well, none. He's a comedian. He's an out of work comedian, so literally nothing.
And I got paid more than him, and I thought that was wild because he was older than me, had a child. We're doing the exact same job, and I'm some 20-year-old fucking white guy. Why am I getting paid more than him? I brought that up. And one of the things I didn't like about the way some of the V stuff shook out was I feel really guilty about the way this shook out. I was talking to this other writer, Mike. It's fucked up, that's how the pay is, and I want you to get paid more, because you deserve to get paid more. I don't have a kid, and he didn't want to rock the boat. He desperately didn't want to rock the boat. He's just, I like my job. I like, because when you grow up with nothing, not to say that he did, but I know I did. You get a little something, you don't want to lose it, so he didn't want to rock the boat.
Yeah, he cries. He cries. When I was listening to this, it was like, what the fuck? The reason he's crying is because his black friend with a kid got fired because of his actions. To summarize what he's about to say, basically he realized he was getting paid more than his black friend, and he wanted to get paid more as well. He thought that Jimmy's a big YouTuber, he can afford to pay his employees a lot more. Let's go ask for money together. Apes strong together. When you put sticks together, you make a mighty faggot. Those sort of things. They go in, they ask for more money, they get canned. And he's like, oh shit, I just got fired. And then he gets the other guy fired as well. Well, they got a severance package, though. I feel like this conflicts a little bit with his story, though, because he says that he quits. Like, later on, he goes to talk about how he quit after he did the isolation video.
But he said, hey, man, if that's how you feel, if that's I trust you. He stood with me. He went to that meeting with me. And I said my piece, and he backed me up. And I said, I need XYZ or I'm out of here. And they said, bet. And they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day. And
that's nicer than you're going to get from the majority of a lot of YouTube content, though. Like, getting a severance package from a YouTuber, it kind of shocked me really. But I guess it is a pretty big production.
I knew if I knew he was going to lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it. Me, I was over the moon. I was like, you're going to give me a check and I get to leave? I don't get to deal with the how many Orbeez can I fit up my asshole every day, and I get to go home and you're going to pay me to leave. I was over the moon. And he was devastated. He did not want. I said, he's wanting to be in the room, And I really regret that. But you know, me and him are really still tight. We're still good friends.
Is he doing good?
Yeah, he's doing.
So when he says like bet, he means like sure. So it's like give us more money and or we're leaving, and they're like, all right, sure. It just means like yes, I guess, in this context.
Good. He's a good guy. I love that guy. He's doing good. Yeah.
So maybe you just feel better?
Honestly, best thing I could have done for him. Now that he's very, very far removed from all this crazy shit, I guess.
Do you think Jimmy really enjoys doing good and helping people?
I think Jimmy wants to be the best YouTuber. I think he is laser focused on one goal. And I think whatever he has to do to achieve that goal, he'll do. And I think it was the smartest decision for him that he calculated, because he's very good with numbers. If I donate to charity, people can't say I'm shitty. If I give this homeless guy 10K, what do you mean I'm a bad guy? But I've always thought, if you're going to do something nice for somebody and you stick a camera in their face while you do it, you didn't do a nice thing for somebody. You gained something. There was a homeless guy on the street and you saw an opportunity for yourself and your image, and you gave one guy $10,000 who needed it to eat, and now the revenue you generated from that video is way more than what you gave. I think when he's generous.
So he's right, but again, I'm not sure I actually have a problem with this, because in both situations, both parties come out ahead. Like it absolutely isn't charity. It absolutely isn't the goodness of your heart. It's absolutely just a business transaction. I will film you giving you 10K. You get to keep the 10K. I'm going to make 100K. Both parties come out ahead there. So I don't have a problem with this, honestly. Now, again, if you want to actually help a homeless person, giving them money just won't actually help them. You have to put them, you need to get their family or friends or put them in a shelter or something where they can actually start work on improving their life. Otherwise, they'll just like, they'll act like a hillbilly with a lottery ticket or something. It'll be gone by next week. But yeah, we can absolutely say this isn't charity. But again, I don't have too much of a problem with it.
On camera, it's the least authentic thing in the world. There's an element of.
All right, hold on. Like, people don't do charity for warm fuzzies. Yeah, at some degree, you can boil everything down to you feel good for doing charity, but it makes the world a better place, right? But you should probably honestly do all your charity anonymously. If you feel good about it, that's enough. That should be the only reward you get from giving charity. Don't tell people about it. You don't need to tell people how good of a person you are.
Oh, hey, you're crying. That's so good for camera. I'm so glad he's.
Exactly.
If you're crying because you're so thankful that you got XYZ, and then you go, I'm so glad he needed it that bad so I could come in and, can you cry more? Oh, it's so good for the camera if you could. Oh, it made me uncomfortable that I was working there, and I didn't like it, and I vocalized it sometimes, and I think that's why I wasn't on camera as much as they said I was going to be. I was told at one point that I was going to be like fourth banana, it was going to be Jimmy, Chris, Chandler, me, and then that never happened.
I don't know. Do you guys believe this part of the video? Like, he was going to be like the fifth Beatle, essentially. I don't know. I feel like this is maybe they were stringing him along or something, but maybe he's just talking himself up a bit. Not sure. I never really think that was going to be on the table. They have a lot of rotating cast members like Jake the Viking and Sneeko. But that seems a little bit like maybe he's talking himself up a little bit. DWAT says, I have never profited giving cash to a homeless person. That sounds like a skill issue. You need to get that camera right up in their face and make sure they cry. Throw some onions on them as well so that they really tear up. Even like pepper spray, you could do that.
I remember talking about that, like, hey, I thought my contract said XYZ. And then I got the severance checks. So, whatever, all that regard.
So after your severance checks, how was your relationship with the company? I know you appeared in videos after that, right?
Right. So in videos where I was appearing in later, that's why you keep nice publicly. If you're nice in public, hey, Jake was nice in public. Let's have him back for something. Yeah, sure. So I was hoping they call back. And I appeared in some videos after I left. I think one of them was a 3 days in a maximum security prison. If I did do.
I survived 3 days being MrBeast's bottom bitch. What a video. That one didn't get it released to the YouTube Premium, I'm sure.
Many challenges in that I got paid. I was clocked in with a rates, and I would get paid and compensated for those. But there was one video I was in. I got paid a lot for it, but it didn't. It didn't come out. It didn't come out because it didn't go well. There was a video that came out probably like a year ago, something like that. It got a lot of hot water when it came out. It was the
So let's see. YouTube star MrBeast paid a man $340,000 to spend 21 days in a windowless room, according to his new video. I feel like I do that for free, so I could do this like easily. It's like one of those things where I say, like, how bad could waterboarding really be? It sounds really easy. Get paid 21 days in a windowless room for $340,000. I don't know. I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could put my psychology aside for a moment and just like go into like cocoon mode. But the thing is, like, isolation is actually one thing that just drives people crazy. That's why solitary confinement sounds like a bad, not that bad of a thing, but it actually drives prisoners crazy. A couple days in solitary just drives people fucking nuts. Of course, they're not being paid to do it.
like surviving like a $10,000 every day you survive in solitary, or surviving solitary
Yes,
for
correct.
whatever. It was like one of those solitary confinement videos that got a lot of media attention because everybody saw the premise and thought, "What? You shouldn't do that." And people don't know that was the.
I have to clarify this. The waterboarding that we were going to do on Cringe Band, we couldn't do because it was supposed to be on actual like wakeboards. You have to read the fine print of that when I said I was going to do waterboarding. Will you waterboard yourself on stream for $20,000? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it can't be that bad, guys. Just hold your breath.
Second attempt.
Oh, wait, hold on. I actually have footage of myself. This is very real. I actually did attempt it, so you owe me $20,000 now.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me. Here too much raining.
There you go. There's proof. There's proof. That was me. All right, let's continue.
The first attempt was on me.
An ad? This said this video was unmonetized. That's a bit sus. Bit sus. Oh well.
Oh well. I was already planning on moving to New York, and I had worked at a couple of YouTube companies after Beast, and I had a little bit of change in my pocket. The most change I had in my pocket ever. Small potatoes, compared to Beast bullshit. But I thought I had enough to move to New York or whatever. And I get a call from somebody.
Do we really have sympathy for a man that sold everything to move to New York to be a comedian? I don't know. I feel like he got what he deserved. No, I'm just kidding. Like he's going to go into his isolation experiment thing in a minute. He seems a bit salty. Yeah, that's the thing is like with the editing of these videos, they could have been done much better to be much more impactful. This video is basically no editing whatsoever, and then there's a bit of a banger at the end when they drop some secret recorded calls and stuff. But a lot of the vibes I get from this dude in particular is that he is very salty. However, they did do something to him with the isolation experiment, which may be considered criminal. Although, like, I think Sean said it actually, right? Sean to Sarcasm. He said the guy could leave the room anytime he wanted. So yeah, he goes into this isolation experiment where he has to survive like 30, it's like 100 days or something, and he'll get $10,000 a day. And he lasts like 20 days or something, but they want him to last 30. And this is basically ripping off the Japanese TV show where they had that Nobusu guy who was like in the room and they were just torturing him for like over a year. So again, the Japanese are just superior. But that is a big question in all of this. Like, couldn't he have just left the room at any time? And they go into a little bit about the Beast contracts, about the no doesn't mean no. But that'll come up when it comes up.
Over there, and they go, "Hey, they want you for a video." I was like, "Oh, amazing, great, cool, thank God." What's the video? And they tell me the pitch. They try to make the pitch sound like it's gonna be like a walk in the park. The pitch is 100 days in solitary confinement. But don't worry, like you only have to last like 30. We have like a video. They're pitching it like at first it's gonna be like a luxury vacation. You're gonna have like a hot tub and an ice cream machine, and like part of the video is gonna be you deciding like what items am I gonna get rid of, today, and it's like the choice. they were like, it's only going to be bad for the last like 5 days tops when you have like nothing left. You're the first, it's going to be like a breeze for most of it. And by the end of it, after 30 days, you're going to get $300,000 because it's $10,000 a day. And I don't know, man. I grew up poor in North Carolina. I said, excuse me, I'll dance for you if you put that kind of money in my face. Sure. They were like,
I mean, would you do that though? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody would accept $10,000 a day to be in isolation, even if you last like 3 days. That's $30K. This guy only had to last like 30 days. Like, come on now. I spent like my entire year in my room, and this guy's getting paid to do what I do for free. Come on now.
You're going to be locked in this room, and we got to make sure you're on all the time. We're going to have cameras on you all the time, and you're perfect for this because you never shut the fuck up. On paper, I was like, okay, I can do this, and I was. They always cut me out of the videos. They always, because and I was, editors have told me that it's because you have too much of a personality. And so with this video, I thought, this is perfect. It's a video they can't cut me out of. I'm the guy. And so I thought, well, if I have to do this, if I have to do solitary confinement in order to do the things I want to do, then I will do that. That I held my tongue and I swallowed my pride, and I
see a lot of people in the chat saying they'll do it 10K per day. Reminder, you've got a camera on you the entire time, so there's no gooning allowed. Does that change the calculus for you degenerates?
tried to do one last ride.
No internet access. Does that change it for you?
And at first it's fine. And I mean, they had just freshly painted the set. You could smell it, which that's probably not good,
Just imagine the smell of the set.
The smell of fresh paint in your surroundings for the next XYZ time. It looked good on the visual. It looks good on camera. It's movie magic bullshit. It was a terrible facility. I mean, it was in one of the studios. They had to get a separate tank for septic stuff. Yeah, there was a hot tub in it. Yeah, there was an ice cream machine. Things were cool and funny on paper, but when you think about stuff, a hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system, give it 3 days, it's gonna stink.
Interesting hot tub lore about filtration systems. Makes you really wonder about other hot tubs, perhaps.
If there's not a hot water mechanism, so the hot tub was a lukewarm tub at best, which was a silly complaint, but the shower was always cold, and you're taking a quick shower.
It sounds like they put him into the alpha camp, where you do the cold showers every morning. I mean, he's eating ice cream, but then he's got his hot tub for relaxation. I don't know. Now he does say that the filtration system was broken, so it smelled like jizz, and the ice cream machine was broken, so it smelled like rotten milk or yogurt or whatever, which could be pretty bad. And unfortunately, there's no smell-o-vision on YouTube. But couldn't they he could choose to remove those items, couldn't he?
Cameras 24/7 on me, and the ice cream machine. Let's talk about that for a second. The ice cream machine has 2 modes: on, bang, and off, reeking of smelly dairy mildew. So I got to choose which sense was assaulted at a time. I couldn't have all of them good. So the little things started to build up. There was the bug thing wasn't terrible, but it was a factor. And at first it was fine, and you're playing it up because it's a video, and it got to a point where they weren't turning the lights off. I asked them, I said, can we have nighttime hours? And they said no, because it would fuck up the time lapse shots. The time lapse of what? Me sleeping? Or me not sleeping? Yeah, I saw in other videos they did.
So leaving lights on all the time does actually start to induce a certain amount of crazy into people. I think they did this challenge again in another video where they just left the lights on for the entire time, and the contestants spent most of their time trying to find ways to shield themselves from the light. Another concern for doing this would just be the vitamin D requirements, right? Because if you don't go outside every day, you get a deficiency in vitamin D. So actually, in winter, it's a great idea to take vitamin D supplements. For a lot of people, especially if you live in the northern part of the country, or whatever country you're in. I think they just threw this all together and didn't really think about the actual consequences, though. So this guy was actually subjected to some stuff that would be pretty difficult, even though it sounds pretty easy, as someone watching from the outside.
Like, oh, you're gonna get XYZ hours of sunlight. Oh, great! Want to know how they figured that one out? I didn't have it. You know, one of the things was you got to take away your clock, so you didn't know what time it was. Okay, I got no access to sun. I got no access to clock. I don't know, like, the lights are on me all the time. I wasn't sleeping. I could not sleep, and I have insomnia problems now. But they might have started there.
I think his insomnia problems now probably have more to do with him being a struggling comedian in New York with the rent prices. But again, I kind of have to question, like, could he not just make a blindfold, like rip up a t-shirt or something? And like, people do that, right? Like, people sleep everywhere. People sleep during the day.
Good people looking out for me. I had a lot of good people looking out for me saying, this, we got to stop. So I just wanted to turn the lights off. And I'm vocalizing to people, I wish the lights would turn off. And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terror.
All right, let's see. Yes, the United Nations considers sleep deprivation a form of torture and war crime under the Geneva Convention and the UN Torture Convention. The UN defines torture as any physical or mental pain or suffering, and sleep deprivation can cause serious physical and mental harm. It is also prohibited by international law as cruel, inhumane, and degrading.
Terrorists. Oh!
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can empathize with him a little bit, but that's the thing, though. He wasn't a prisoner. He could have left. That's the idea. He could leave at any time, surely. Now, of course, there's the monetary incentive. But if it's 10,000 a day and it gets tricky after 10 days, he's still 100K up. Now, it seems like he took this money and he used it to try and start his comedy career, which isn't doing very well. And maybe he's run out of money, and that's why he's at this point now. I mean, again, you have to judge it for yourself. Maybe I'll put a poll up to see what do you guys think, if you're empathizing with this guy or not. But he did volunteer, and I think he could have left anytime he wanted to. So it kind of changes the perception of this a little bit.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, but Paulie is correct, actually. So he did stay in there a little bit longer, but they didn't get the amount that they paid him. So he said he quit, and then they kept him there for another day or another 2 days or something, and they didn't give him the additional pay for that. So that is BS. Absolutely.
24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
So we'll do a poll. Why not?
So, you know, they're giving me, you know, melatonin, you know, it's not helping, you know, and then Jimmy would come in like every other day for like an hour, you know, to check in on me because he's doing other stuff. You know, I'm just the guy in the cage over here. He'll come back to me in a minute. And so he'd come by, he'd get the shots, he'd leave. Sometimes he'd have a note from the director over the phone. That would really piss me off. This is a note I got from the director, from Jimmy, when I'm receiving some cash. He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that? To pretend to make it genuine?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Something about that just resonates with me as humorous. Like, the director comes in like, I know we're putting you through this ordeal, but you're getting paid $10,000 a day. But could you just look at the camera and say, so thankful I could pay off my student loans. Thank you, MrBeast. Something pretty funny about that is, I don't know. It's something a little bit, just the idea of Americans being forced to play like Hunger Games to pay off their student loans. There's some humor there. There's an idea there.
I don't want to have student loans. I don't want to be in a cage. But Jimmy's the guy with the money, and if you do what he says, he'll do what you want. You want your student loans paid off? You just be in this cage. And you have power over people. When one person doesn't have resources and the other one does, and they hold it over your head, and you go, of course, yeah, I agreed to it.
You fucking rat, boss. You got more money. You're paying me to do something, you rat.
I needed it, of course. Just something about like having the cameras on me all the time. Like I was not having a good time, but we were filming a video, so I was trying my best to be funny. You know, I'm a dark comic. You know, I got bits about. I had a very traumatic life. I have my dad is in jail for sexual assault of a minor, so this kind of stuff is
That's a weird thing to introduce into the argument. I probably would not have said that. Maybe you could have just said, my dad's in jail.
very near and dear to my heart. I don't fuck around with this shit. Yeah, I have jokes about that in my act. I joke about it because that's what you do in a traumatic experience. Abusive relationships. I get out of it. The first thing I do is I do a type file about it. So I'm in this situation where my mental health is not good. My physical health is getting worse. But we're filming, so I'm doing bits. I'm talking to the camera. And I'm being, like, hey, it's been a couple days. I'm not doing so hot, which if I'm filming a video, that's what I should be doing for the camera. But it was too real. If they're faking videos, why couldn't we fake this one? If we're allowed to let these cast members have some time off of this difficult challenge, how come we couldn't turn the lights off? How come we couldn't maybe not have some time lapse footage for 10 seconds?
Time lapses are keynote though. Like I love time lapses. That's actually how I've got into videography in the first point. I would just take photos, but then I was like, what if I just stitch these together and make an awesome time lapse? Hyperlapses too are really keynote. They're really good.
Did you try to get out?
Yes. I was starting to calculate. I don't know if I could do 30. How much can I? Well, how can I manage to get out of here sooner and still have a video and still have some cash and get the plug, man. I did. Since we're doing.
So the time lapse thing, basically what he's saying is that the time lapse will look flickery if they're going to day to night to day to night to day to night. So they want to have this one time lapse that's the same consistent lighting, where it's just like him scuttling around the room like a mouse in a trap or something. I see what he's saying there, but you can add you can remove the dark frames from a time lapse. That's not like a real hard thing to do.
Time lapse shots, and since they insisted on time lapse shots, I said, all right, we'll give you time lapse shots bet. I put my YouTube on with the whiteboard they gave me.
Jake Weedle. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see how much has this video done for this dude, Jake Weedle. So this video he was on got 7.6 million views, and at the time of filming he had 46k. He now has he's now at 120,000. This did big numbers for him. And then he's also got a video called The Reasons I Left MrBeast, bigger, longer, uncut, but it's only 23 minutes. So it's actually half the duration of this video. But I mean, this worked for him. I guess he's getting his dues finally, right? 92 videos when it was filmed. And he's put out one additional video since this video was filmed.
And I was like, all right, yeah, go ahead and scrub that footage.
Good for him.
You got that whiteboard. Oh no, either that goes in or this footage is unusable. And then, James Warren came in and erased it. Don't put that. Hey, we can torture him. Don't you dare let him get a plug in there.
D-Watt says stop saying Kino. Actually, I said Kino well before the Kino Casino, by the way. Kino was I do say it a lot, but it was a bit of a meme online, particularly on the TV board of 4chan. But I have been saying that for many years, actually. Certainly I'm saying it more recently, but it's just in the vernacular right now. It's okay. If you don't like the Kino Casino, that's fine. That's fine. But it existed well before them.
Like we were playing up the joke, it's like, I'm the boy in the cage, whatever. Like I'll play into a joke, whatever, it's fine. There's just something weird about when Jimmy jokes. I have jokes about my dad because I love jokes with my dad. I'll joke with my dad all the time. I guess piece of shit. Hey, my dad.
You got me.
I have friends that make fun of my dad. That's fine because I know their intent. I know where they're coming from. When Jimmy joked with my dad, and I said that to seem weird. I don't like it. We were doing that one of those hide and seek videos again. At the time they were a lot realer. So I got caught, and when you get caught, you go to the place where you get caught. And I don't know if there's footage of this. I don't know if I definitely didn't make the final cut. But he says to me, "All right, you're going to jail. Like your dad." And like, it's a joke.
How do we feel about this one? So, your dad's in jail for being a predator, and you joke about it all the time, but then your boss comes up to you and says, looks like you headed to jail just like your dad. I think this is like just an example of Mr. Beast, Jimmy, not having very good social skills, because if you see someone joking about something, you kind of assume it's okay to joke about yourself, and maybe you want to, like, you know, integrate into that sort of culture of that joke telling. It's a bit of a dark one, though. Also, like, literally calling like a time-lapse kino is the correct use of the word, because it's like from kinescopic, right? Or like the kinoplex. That's the idea. It's like from cinematic. So that the original meaning of kino is cinematic. And that's what time-lapses are. They're cinematic. But that's a pretty harsh joke. I feel like it's okay, though, if you joke about it yourself. If you're so okay with it to joke about it in your own thing, then how can you really get upset if someone else says it? For example, if a bunch of rappers are saying a particular word in a song, then surely it's okay for me to say it, right? That's what I'm really saying here. How could it be bad if I'm just singing my favorite song?
But when my friends do it, it's fine. And Jimmy just wasn't my friend. He was my boss. And that wasn't cool. And so now I'm locked in a cage at his whim. And I have to do things to get the cash I need to live. And I got these cameras on me all the time. And I was unwell. I had editors coming up to me.
Say it.
Said, "You good, bud?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? You're clearly unwell." And he goes, "Well, because the footage you're sending in is haunting. Because I'm trying to be funny, but I am mentally decaying, so I'm doing bits."
I want to see the Geneva Convention cut. I really want to see it. They should release it on like Mr. Beast After Dark or something.
Someone said there is a horror cut of a video in this. And I'm thinking, like, who's watching this? Like, who wants to see this? What is fun about this, the video? And so the thing that made me I got to get out. I can't do another day in a year. Jimmy comes in and I'm asleep. I don't know what time it is. I was like 2 or 3 or whatever. He's like, "Why is he sleeping?" I don't know, because I can't sleep. And he comes in.
That's pretty funny, actually. Like, you're in a 24-hour box. The lights are always on. You don't know what time of day it is. So you start to lose perception of reality. And then the guy comes in. He's like, "Hey, why is my boy toy? Well, not boy toy, but why is my male slave? Why is my male slave asleep? Get him up. Make him dance for the camera. Get him up. I've got only an hour here. Get up." I mean, he is being paid $10,000 a day, but like, give the man his sleeping time. Come on now.
He wakes me up. And he goes, "Ask me why I have 2 briefcases." And I'm like, why do you have 2 briefcases? And he goes, "Oh, because this one's for today, and this one's for the challenge." And I go, "What's the challenge today?" He goes, You're gonna run a marathon. You're gonna do 22.6K, whatever it is."
I can only imagine that they're going to make him run the marathon on like a giant cheese wheel. Well, not cheese wheel, sorry. The mouse exercise wheel. Just like running around that. That would have been really funny. That would have been a primo video. If he has the big thing. But a marathon, what's it, like 40 kilometers or something, right? I run about 10K every other day. So that's like 4 hours of running, essentially, in one go. If you're like on an extreme, like if you've been relaxing for 10 days, there's no way you can run a marathon. But if you break it up into parts, maybe, sure.
And you're gonna do it on that treadmill over there. The first challenge I did was a Rubik's Cube, and I'm dyslexic. I'm dumb. I don't know how to do a Rubik's Cube. So your first challenge, Rubik's Cube. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do it." I was like,
Dyslexia has nothing to do with problem-solving skills, though. I mean, that's just like nothing. I'm just gonna say that.
"Camera, I don't want to do it." You go, "Just do it for the thing." My kid, like there was an element of, Jake will do what we want because he's in house. That's one of the reasons why they got me. Jake's he's an inside guy, so he'll do whatever. We can push him a little extra hard because we know he's good. I couldn't say no to the treadmill thing.
What? You couldn't say no to running for a marathon? No, like, this is... I don't believe this, I'm afraid. Like, I do think this guy was mistreated, but I don't believe this point because he literally said, so Jimmy comes in with 2 briefcases and they both have $10,000 in it, I would assume. So one is for the day. So he's in another day. He gets another $10,000. But if he can complete the challenge of running the marathon, he gets an additional $10,000. And yeah, it's better for the video if he does it because there's a bit of stakes there. But no, it's like he has the option to not run. He just won't get paid if he doesn't run. The additional $10,000. So you have to, you're contractually obligated to run a marathon. I'm not sure that would hold up in contract law. That seems a bit, that doesn't seem correct to me. Like, I don't think they had guns pointed at him or anything saying, like, you got to run. You got to run. These hungry dogs are coming after you if you don't run now, boy. Like, you could have just failed the challenge.
Yeah. So people who run marathons train forever, and it's still hard. Again, Ryder. Do I look like I run? I don't run, you know, let alone a marathon, let alone that training for it. So I was in a sunlightless, you know.
Oh my goodness, what is this ad? It's a cute one. I like this one. I'm gonna watch it.
Did you try to say no? Like, did you have a choice or?
Based on the Rubik's Cube thing.
For this video is not monetized. There's a lot of ads on this non-monetized video. And this is 7 million views. Do you know how much 7 million views? Every, like, a 30-minute video with 1 million views is about approximately $10,000 to $20,000. So you double it and then you times it by 7. So what is double that times 7? What is 40 times 7? What is this, $200,000 or something?
Based on all the other stuff, like there was so much pressure to just do it, just do the thing, you know. And if I refuse, it's just, oh, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, you know, so much money up in flames because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing. And so all right,
I'll switch to my premium account for you guys. All right, I'll switch to the premium account so that you don't have to watch the ads. Okay, no more ads.
He stood with me. He went in that.
But now he lost the timestamp. God damn it!
And I said, I don't know, because I can't sleep. I said, how much longer? You guys get 2 minutes work. And,
Wait, what timestamp were we at? God damn it! I knew this would happen.
Oh, the 0.6K, whatever it is.
All right, it's right here.
Briefcase. It was a Rubik's Cube, and I'm
There we go. Now we're on premium. There'll be no more ads on this video. If you're dealing with ads yourself, that's YouTube's prerogative. You should get YouTube Premium yourself or something that prevents those from showing up.
So your first challenge Rubik's Cube. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I was like, on camera, I don't want to do it. You go, just do it for the thing. Like, kid, you know? Like, there was an element of, oh, Jake will do what we want because he's in-house. You know, that's one of the reasons why they got me. Jake's, he's an inside guy, so he'll do whatever. We can push him a little extra hard.
What do you mean, like an inside guy, like a cat?
Because we know he's good. I couldn't say no to the treadmill thing. Yeah.
You could have said no.
People who run marathons train forever, and it's still hard. Again, Ryder. Do I look like I run? I don't run, you know, let alone a marathon, let alone that training for it. So I was in a sunlightless, you know.
Did you try to say no? Like, did you have a choice or?
Based on the Rubik's Cube thing and based on all the other stuff, like there was so much pressure to.
I mean, who says no to a Rubik's Cube challenge? Yeah, so you're pretty bad at it, but if you solve it, you get an extra 10K, right? So, yeah, you just fail at or you just beat the Rubik's Cube by sheer time. Just do that. Like, if you've got nothing to do in a room all day, surely a Rubik's Cube would be a welcome distraction.
Just do it. Just do the thing, you know. And if I refuse, it's just, oh, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, you know, so much money up in flames because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing. And so I wanted to be a good sport, and I wanted to get the boost, and I wanted the cash, and so I started running at 12. I was able to take some breaks, and I asked him, how long do I have? He goes, until I get back. And I'm running until 3 a.m. I got off the treadmill. Oh, the blisters I had on my feet were like, you wouldn't believe, just all over, just these big red. I couldn't walk. My muscles were like just the lactic acid. I got off the treadmill, and then the people that came in to like ice my feet, make sure I was good. Then that's when I was like, I'm done. I can't. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. And that's when I get psych in and talk to the psych about how I'm not well. And like I said, there was a lot of good people over there that was saying, you got to pull him out. Yeah, I had friends that did some freelance work. And they would tell me, they'd be like, yeah, everyone knows you over there. Everybody loves you. They go, oh, Jake Weddle, love that guy. Shame what happened to him.
He has no concept of personal responsibility. To be fair, when you go into these sort of experiments, people yield to authority in crazy ways. Like when you see, like you have like what are the Stanford prison experiments and things, people will listen if they're doing like an experiment or a quiz, not a quiz, but like a challenge. People do some wild stuff. Like there was the one, I think it was literally the Stanford prison experiment, wasn't it? Where they had like a dude, and he was like in a chair, and it would electrocute. You'd press a button, and it would electrocute him. And they got people in, and you had to press the button to electrocute the guy. And the guy was a paid actor, and the electrocutions weren't real. But they said you have to keep pressing the button to keep electrocuting him. And the guy in the chair is like starts like crying and like begging for help, and he's like, "I've got a heart condition, please stop." And then the researchers are like, no, it's okay. Just keep going. And the people just keep pressing the button and keep electrocuting because they just yield to authority. So even though, yeah, he could have walked out at any time, when you're in these sort of situations, sometimes people just collapse and just yield to whoever is the boss, whoever's is holding the keys or whatever. So you never know, right? Until you go through one of these things by yourself. People are capable of some wild stuff if they can say, well, the boss told me to do it. Let's continue anyway.
Like I'm a ghost. And I asked him, I said, how much longer are you guys going to keep me in here? And the guy goes, realistically, like at least 7 more days? No. And they didn't let me leave right away either. They wanted to make sure, everything was fine. So I just, slept for a while. They turned the lights off. And it's like they brought in all my friends, to make it. They brought in all the people I liked and Jimmy. Then everybody was around me making sure I was good, making sure I was okay. But Jimmy had his he was sitting in the chair, turned around like an evil villain. I swear to God, everyone was looking at me, and he was like Lex Luthor over there. He turns around, he stands up. He does the exact same thing when he's pretending to have a human connection. When you're watching a video and he's like, "Oh, stop! You're gonna make me cry," and he like touches his eye or whatever as if he's crying. He's just. I didn't have to pretend to do that shit. She says, as if rehearsed by his lawyers. Your mental health's the most important thing. Just want to make sure you're okay. And the last thing we want you to do is, I can almost hear the words "Sue" come out of his mouth. The S. He just stopped right before I got out.
I feel like this is the worst type of person to go into these sort of things. Like they said, well, he's going to be alone for 100 days, but he only has to last till 30, basically. And it's like, this guy talks a lot, so he'll be perfect for it. Like people that talk a lot are the worst kind of person to put into isolation. They talk a lot because they need a lot of attention. This may have been like the perfect storm of the worst possible person to put into a cage. Like someone like me, I could last a day easy, guarantee it. But that's because I, never mind. But no, it's like I definitely do think it was mistreated here, but he does have some responsibility that he's not acknowledging. And that's just the reality, is that he did make these choices to put himself into the situation. Now, MrBeast can be bad as well, but that doesn't mean that this was all just something that happened to him. He has to take a little bit of responsibility in his own actions.
I did not get the 300K what I got. He goes, think of it this way. At least you get to keep what you earned. You know, you were in there for XYZ days. You did XYZ challenges. So you got, 100,000 some change, give or take.
So how long was he in there for? Like, actually, because like he's supposed to last 30 days and it's supposed to be $10,000 a day, but there's additional challenges. So did he only last 10 days? I thought if they said like realistically 7 more days, surely it would have been 21 days or something like that, right?
You know how much money I spent in taxes in 2021? I spent $44,000 in taxes alone.
Okay, so we can assume if he's paying like $40,000 in taxes, he probably was in the 100,000 range, right? Like, that's a weird thing to put in the thing as well. Is like, I had to pay taxes. You can't make me pay taxes on the money that I was paid. It sucks not to be tax-free. Exactly. Taxes are, I mean, I agree, taxes are theft. It is bullshit, but you got to pay. You have to pay. It's just the way it is. The tax man is the one man you don't mess with. But like, again, yeah, every super chat is tax-free, guaranteed.
And now I spent all that money on doing stand-up. I bought plane tickets to go do comedy festivals. My family back home, I gave them a bunch of stuff that they needed. And haven't been back on a Beast set in any official capacity or unofficial capacity since then.
Wait, how does this work then? So he was working for MrBeast. Then he tried to get his black friend and him to get a pay rise, and he got fired. But then he comes back for videos, and then he worked for this video, and this was the last video he was on. So he was off the payroll, and he was a contestant basically. Is that how this works? That would have to be the timeline. It doesn't work any other way.
And then they did the video with somebody else, and they worked out the kinks. And then it still got in some hot water, and I knew it would.
But I think
I wanted to say a lot.
He says that they didn't pay him the full amount though, as well.
Of this for a long, long, long time. And I feel good now. I just had to get that out there.
So I just want to hop in here and show some text that Jake sent me after this interview. This is July 29, 2021, a few days after he got out of
all right, let's see.
Solitary. How are you feeling after a few days? Better. I still couldn't sleep, even a few days out, but I almost have my sleep cycle back on track. My legs and joints are good, but the blisters on my feet still hurt to walk on. Medical advice I got was not to lance them and just let them go away with time. I'm mentally still in an uneasy place, but I've gotten back on better help. My therapist is a little concerned, but we are working on things.
This makes perfect sense why he's so fucked up. He's on BetterHelp. Was this like a stealth BetterHelp ad or something? Like, I mean, who's the real criminal here? BetterHelp or Jimmy? Like, what the fuck? Did just all the LA, like New York people just think this is an actual thing? Like BetterHelp? Like, I thought everyone knew it was exposed as a scam. BetterHelp doesn't do shit. It's a literal scam product. So actually, I'm a little bit confused though, because I'm curious. Like, is that what he's implying? Because I heard that he said he didn't get the whole amount of money. And is it because he was expecting 100,000 minus, excluding taxes? I mean, that's kind of, unfortunate, I guess, if you didn't realize that. But like, if the money he wasn't paid was just because of taxes, then that just means he's an idiot. But I thought like he went in, they finished the time and then he stayed in for another day so they could monitor him. Is he didn't get paid for that day? Is that what he's saying? It's a little bit unclear to me. If the challenge is over, then sure, you don't get paid. If you're staying there so they can look after you, then I don't think that would be in the challenge. But it's kind of tricky because he doesn't tell us the exact time he was in there. Like if he said, I was in there for 11 days and I got paid $110,000, we could actually calculate this. Let me see. To be honest, psychiatry and counseling degrees are handed out to literally anyone these days. Well, counseling perhaps. Psychiatry, I think you still need to attend school, correct? I don't know. Let me see. I think the implication is the kid he gave $1 million to spend 6 hours got screwed over. Well, no, that's a different person. That's a different person. This guy said that he himself was not given the full amount or something. Nobody thought he was going to come out with 100K. Turns out he got taxed. He gets 50K, but how much is going to cost to help him repair his brain afterwards? Well, I mean, if he's on BetterHelp, then it's going to take all the money. Let me see. All right, let's continue, I think.
Minor, this is not supposed to be a traumatic life event. This is supposed to be a MrBeast video. Hey, Jake, hope you're doing okay. Meg and I just wanted to check in on you. Hey, I'm good, and I appreciate that. I'm not exactly 100%. I feel like mentally I'm still recovering a bit, but back in therapy, and my therapist is concerned. Haha, but my legs and joints feel better. Like I can walk, but my feet are still covered on those blisters, and those hurt to walk on. But I was told the best thing to do is stay off my feet and let them heal. I'm in Raleigh with my family. Also, it'll be like a month before I get the money, and they aren't giving me all the money. They're giving me what I won up to that point in the game, which was also a slap in the face. But hey, I'm out.
All right, wait a second. Also, it'll be a month before I get my money, and they aren't giving me all the money. They're giving me the money I won up to that point in the game. So he did get the money he was promised. No. So he's saying he expected $300,000, but he didn't do 30 days. But he got all the money he won up to that point. So it was 10 days. I'm sorry, but it seems like he got what he was owed. Now, was it not worth the money? That's questionable. Like, was it a bad deal for him? Was he mistreated? Sure. But it seems like he got paid. Like, expecting the 300,000 when you don't stay for 30 days. I'm sorry, that's just the contract. I think he's absolutely incorrect here.
Out. I'm alive. Therapist who knows and cares about you. The whole thing was so fucked, and honestly, fuck them for not giving you the money. Meg and I are wishing you the best with your recovery, and please feel free to reach out if you need anyone to talk to or need a place to crash in New York. Hope you're doing well, man. That video you uploaded is money. So good. I appreciate. I'm doing better physically. Mentally, I'm still kind of in a place. I still can't sleep. I've slept 5 hours in the past 3 days, marathon included. I don't know what's wrong with me. Lots of thinking, too much, one might say. Hope they're taking care of you where they can. I mean, I was kind of shocked they didn't pay me for the full 25, 30 days. They paid me what I made up to that point. Like, even when we have to pull the plug for my mental health, the mechanism of the game is still at play. I'm just happy to be out. I still can't walk well, but it hurts.
I'm really confused. Why is he shocked? If he literally says, they paid me what I made up until that point. That's the deal. That's the deal. They wanted him to stay for 30 days because then they could make a better video. Like, I stayed 10 days in isolation isn't a good videos. But, I did a 100-day isolation challenge and lasted 30 days. That's a much better video. But if you got paid what you were promised up until that point, but you just said you didn't get the whole 300,000 for 30 days, then that makes it very hard to take him credibly. Do I think he's a softie? I mean, he obviously is a softie. Now, that doesn't mean he wasn't mistreated. That doesn't mean they weren't ill prepared, and perhaps they violated a few laws, we'll say, by their improper planning. But he got what he earned. That makes it very difficult to take him seriously. His own story seems like he got paid 100,000 for 10 days. Or maybe it was like 7 days and he did 3 challenges, so he got paid for that or something, right? So he did the marathons. That would be like maybe 10,000, I assume. Then he spent half of it on taxes, which is what he has to do, and then he spent the rest of it trying to become a comedian in New York, which is very expensive. And he failed at that. And now that he's failed it and he's out of money, now he's trying to milk it for a bit more attention. Like, don't get me wrong, MrBeast does some bad stuff. Let's be real. This guy, I'm not entirely sure.
Bless. And like, I'm not famous enough to burn a bridge. So at the end of the day, I'm still Jimmy's bitch. Like, if I was Carl and he did that to me, I'd ruin him. And they want to do it again. That could be your leverage. If the guy breaks down also, 2 is better than 1. Yeah, right. I told them everything they did to me that they can't do again in order to make sure the other person doesn't break down as fast. But like, the way the video is meant to function is the problem. It's a bad idea, full stop. It sounds clickbaity, sounds right up Jimmy's alley, but it's morally unethical, like on every level.
I will agree with him here, though, that this is a bad idea for a video. The potential for things to go wrong is really high. Like I said, with the one that they had the 2 people locked in the vault for 100 days, there are so many things that could go wrong, not just the dynamics of having two strangers, a man and a woman together alone, locked in a bunker for 100 days. But like, what if the air conditioning goes out? What if there's an earthquake? What if like there's all kinds? What if there's a cave in? Like maybe the construction of like how good is the construction of this thing? Like there are a lot of things that can go wrong with these, and I think these are really bad ideas to do these sort of videos. Playing with fire in a big way.
Off-camera breaks, lights off at night, visitation, take the marathon out. Marathon is a video in itself. You can't expect someone to exert themselves like that for 45 seconds of content. The challenges really made it feel dehumanizing, felt like a parody of MrBeast. I felt like the homeless guy they could exploit. It felt like if Jeff Bezos had a GIMP. It felt like if Jeff Bezos had a GIMP. Part of me wants the footage burned, and part of me thinks that there's a great horror cut in there. LMAO, he was so fake when he came in and said he cared about my mental health. They must.
It's a bunker. It's supposed to endure that shit. A bunker constructed for the purposes of being a bunker, I would assume, is very strong against those sort of things. MrBeast production crews building a bunker, maybe not so much. I don't know what corners they've cut. I don't know if they're using plywood. I don't know if they're using cement. It looks good on camera, but we don't know if this is a real bunker. Now, if they took a real bunker and then converted it, sure. I thought the impression I got from the video was that they built that bunker specifically for the challenge, which makes me really question its authenticity and structural integrity. Now, it did last, I guess, unless you faked the video, it lasted for 100 days. But I have major concerns with that video.
Must have programmed the care about mental health updates. He said, we also don't want.
It was a fake bunker, was a CGI entrance. That makes a lot more sense. If it's just like a house, they were just a house and they call it a bunker, then they just enter through a big fake gateway. That makes it a lot less concerning.
Utis, and I swear to our Lord and Savior, he stopped himself from saying sue. Also, as far as like, he could have said no, he could have left at any time. I want to show this segment from an internal document at MrBeast called How to Succeed in MrBeast Production. Specifically on page 19, there's a paragraph called No does not mean no.
That's not a good page to have if you're going through allegations. Like, again, we'll reference this. Apparently, this video is like this. So it gets a bit better towards the end. And now we're getting into some stuff that's a little bit more, proper. No does not mean no. Now, when you've got multiple people on staff that have been confirmed PDF files, then it's not a good thing to have on the old company server.
Already insane because it's sort of, it seems to be co-opting the popular anti-rape slogan.
I mean, to be fair, this is a sales tactic, by the way. Like, people do this as, like, they do teach this as salespeople. But, again, it's not a great thing to have.
Which is a terrible look given the allegations that are going to be coming out very soon. It reads, when dealing with people outside MrBeast Productions, never take no at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside of, and you can call the local Dollar Tree, and the person that answers says, no, you can't film here, that literally doesn't mean shit. Talk to other employees and see if they are fans or if any have kids that are fans. Try talking to their boss's boss. Have me DM them on Twitter and try their social team.
So I guess this is why I'll never probably make it as a real YouTuber. Is that like when I go and ask if I can film in places and they say no, I just leave. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks anyway, and I just go. I don't bother them. I don't try and be like, oh, don't you know who I am? Like, I would never. That seems to me like the most cringe thing imaginably. Like if someone says no, then you're like, okay, fine, fair enough. I'll go ask someone else. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe this is the secret I've been missing all this time. You gotta use the clout. You gotta leverage your clout for attention. I don't know. I don't think that's it. I don't think I'm that kind of person. I don't think I'll ever be that kind of person. I just take what people say at face value quite often.
Avenues are exhausted and you are left with a no. That doesn't mean don't try the other Dollar Trees because the manager of those could be huge fans and willing to bend the rules. Basically, what I'm trying to convey is what we call pushing through no. Don't stop because one person told you no. Stop when all conceivable options are exhausted. This is one of many tools.
See, that sounds a lot better than the first part. Just don't stop until all conceivable options are exhausted. It sounds a lot better than ignore them if they say no.
That when combined dramatically improve your probability of success when producing here. So yeah, this idea of like pushing through no's is a big component to working at MrBeast. And the way that it manifests itself a lot of the time is like a director might tell a producer, hey, we need access to 30 acres of farmland by Tuesday or we lose $500,000. Now, if you're the producer, you obviously know that means get it done or you lose your job. So what can happen is like a producer's calling up farmers saying, hey, I need to use your land. And the farmer might be like, okay, but, you know, I have animals. You can't be making really loud noises, no pyrotechnics, and you got to clean everything up. So the producers.
So this happens a lot. And when I was in New Zealand, I actually worked in, well, one of the jobs that I did was I was working for the EPA. And I was doing it for the I didn't believe in them. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in the carbon emission trading program, but I had to do it. I had to do it because I needed that dollar bills, yo. Sometimes you have to work in cringe environments, and that was the cringest environment I ever worked in. We literally had a staff meeting one day about doxing, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. Here we go. It was an actual. It was one of those people that would dress up very flamboyantly and like to play pretend. It was one of those people, and they stood up in the meeting and said, "Can we have a talk about doxing?" And I think Kiwi Farms was actually mentioned at the time, like unironically, because as a government institution, that means we were open for scrutiny by the public, and somebody was applying. I think it's called the Omnispin Man or something, was applying to see what if we were doing doing everything by the numbers. And then a lot of the people in HR was very, very upset by that, and we had to have the doxing talk apparently, and how you can't watch out for these terrible doxers. But anyway, where is this story going? The story is going is that I dealt with a lot of people that would promise to clean up after they do something like a film set or even just like cutting down trees and replanting them. Anytime you have a deal, like let's use your farm or let's use your forest to film something, we promise we'll set it back the way it was. They never do. They always leave junk behind. They always don't replant the trees. They're all lazy. They're like, well, I got mine. Time to piss off. So that actually does make me a little bit annoyed. Like if you're going to use someone's property, if you're going to use a forest or a natural environment, at least leave it the way you found it. Don't cheap out and just leave all the junk and garbage there.
Sort of incentivized to lie and say, or maybe the producer doesn't even actually know the total contents of the video, right? Things changed last second. So they're they're financially incentivized to be manipulative and sort of they're put in positions where it's like, oh, it's either the producer's job or a civilian's job, like where it talks about, hey, maybe the manager would be willing to bend the rules. Well, you shouldn't really be pressuring civilians to bend the rules that could get them fired, you know? I'll show you a real life example. This is unused evidence from part 1. I had seen this Reddit post titled MrBeast leaving trash behind and debris at film site in Aden, North Carolina. Apparently he left a large boat in a pond as well as debris around the film site in the bottom of the pond weeks and weeks after the agreed time frame. This actually rendered it unsafe for campers and almost delayed the camp's opening date multiple times.
So this is pretty scummy. At least clean up the shit.
You're not being able to get in contact with MrBeast to get the stuff cleaned up out of the area. So I actually know that this is from a MrBeast video called Protect the Yacht, Keep It. Where at the end of that video, he actually says,
if you're wondering, yes, we did ensure the lake was completely cleaned up after this video. For the love of God, subscribe so we can pass T-Series.
Yes, so he says at the end of the video that they made sure it was cleaned up. I was actually on site for part of this production. I was at this camp. So I decided to send an email out to the camp, basically saying, hey, I heard these rumors. I'm investigating a similar incidents. And the campers.
Non-YouTubers are civilians now? Or is that RP Gamer Talk? You'd be surprised how often this happens in every industry. Like I was watching some clips from like the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was on a channel called Podcast Cringe, which is pretty fun. It's a pretty fun little channel. But like they were talking, there was two comedians talking to each other, and the comedians were referring to non-comedians as civilians as well. Like every group co-ops the word civilian. They're like, oh, the non-comedians, those civvies, they don't understand what it's like in the comedy mines. Oh, we're digging for gold every day. They don't understand what we go through. It's actually some really funny shit to see what they think. Like I think they were saying like there's only like 200 comedians in their whole world or something. It's such a weird like self flatulating community. Is that not flatulating? What is it? You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Responded actually not denying the claims, going on to say, I am sure that there are no perfect film productions, just as there are no perfect people. I am grateful for the opportunity that we had to host the production crew, and because grace or forgiveness has been offered to me so freely, I will choose to offer the same. So clearly alluding to the fact that there was a wrongdoing by MrBeast production team. And that's like sort of the thing is, if you're around Greenville, you know these stories of people working with MrBeast and it being extremely unprofessional, them not doing what they say, but they sort of get by a lot on their good public image. And like, I mean, this camp offered to host them completely for free. And I guarantee, like, if you went to the lake at the camp and you went magnet fishing, like you'd find all sorts of debris that's still there to this day. Like they didn't clean it all up.
There's way more than 200 good comedians. Like if you think about how many people you know are funny, it's probably 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, right? And yeah, they don't do that professionally. That's not their job. But with a planet with 7 billion people, apparently there's only 200 good. No, come on. There's millions of good comedians out there, but they're just like, they're working in clubs. They're not on Netflix. You don't see them. There's a lot of really fantastically funny people that just haven't made it big yet. But just like saying that, like, it's such an insular community. When he says 200 people or less, he means like, I know 200 buddies in LA. They're the only real comedians. And there's a lot of comedians say to a lot of other comedians, like, like, you're not a real comedian. You're a hack. You're just not funny. You know, there's a lot. They're very, very self-aggrandizing as well. But like, trust me, there's way more. There's way more than 200. There's got to be at minimum 1 million professional comedians out there that are very professionally successful, just by sheer numbers of the earth.
So in the case of Jake Weddle, like, I'm sure that there were producers who were in a position of, hey, if Jake gets out early, we don't have a video and your job is at risk. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure on top of like him being delirious from not sleeping and everything to just manipulate him into staying. Which, I'm sure this isn't like technically against the Geneva Convention on torture because he wasn't technically a prisoner. Like, he could have left at any time, but because of the extreme pressure to stay in, it's not really a reasonable expectation that he could have just, walked out.
Because of the implication.
I think Jimmy is a awkward kid who maybe, had it a little rough growing up. I can't speak on that, but I do have empathy for it because I had it rough growing up. And I think when you're hyper fixated on something, like I love stand-up, he loves YouTube, everyone, fixates on a thing, I think he just wanted to be the best YouTuber so bad. And because the industry's metrics, rewarded some not great behavior, if you're just going on autopilot based on what the numbers say, you can do some things that maybe aren't good, but reap reward. And I think Jimmy just did what the industry and maybe what this system that we have set up demanded. And
is he reading off a script or something? Why is he looking down like that?
Didn't care who got hurt. And I think Jimmy surrounded himself with really, really not so great people, and those people were the ones making the decisions. And I want to say, really important, there are so many good people that work at MrBeast who are damn good at their jobs. Like,
yeah, some I assume are good people.
When Jimmy comes in and asks for something impossible, it's these people's jobs to do it. And they shouldn't be able to make it happen, and they do. And so I don't think people wanted to talk about stuff because I didn't want my friends to lose their jobs. I don't care about my fucking job. I'll die in a hole. I don't care. I don't want my friends to lose their jobs. I don't want anyone's reputation to be fucked. But let's just go back to my dad for a second, if I may. My dad was like a swim coach, neighborhood swim team. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. Behind closed doors, he's a real piece of shit. And so when stuff starts hitting the fan, what? Him? No. Surely. And then, everyone, thought my mom was the bitch, for not, the day the news broke, you know, that he did what he did to one of the students of the team. And
this is a really weird inclusion into this video. If you want this guy to be your man of witness, your star in the part 2 of the documentary, I'm not sure why you're devoting this 5-minute segue of him like talking about how his dad was taking advantage of children. It's very weird inclusion. I guess he's included it because it's like an emotional moment, but I gotta say, I think this detracts from what you're trying to accomplish.
it's like when that comes out, you're not surprised, you know? You just go, when I saw my dad in the news, I said, "Oh, you idiots." Like, I was like, no, what? I was, oh, dumbass, God damn it. But I wasn't surprised. And it was just consequences happening to somebody who was really good at avoiding them for a long time. And I don't know, everybody loves Jimmy. And behind closed doors, he is not super great. And that image is cultivated purposefully and intentionally. And it's branding, it's marketing, it's YouTube.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, just one.
Gore04 for 2 says, this guy screams LA comedian dipshot. Well, joke's on you because he's a New York comedian now. Well, he was until he spent all his money. But thank you for the 2.
Final question on
Sure.
a serious note. Obviously, the Ava Chris Tyson drama. And, you know, that's a known issue of traditional media. Did you witness or hear about any sexual misconduct at the company?
It's crazy. I probably hung out with Ava the most out of the main cast just because I was on Beast Hacks. Now Beast Reacts. I don't know if it's still out. That was a lot of fun because it was just, you know, being silly and goofy in front of the camera. And Ava was the only person who was willing to film. Everybody else was too busy or didn't want to, and I was just trying to do my job. Sometimes there'd be like an offhanded joke that's a little gross. I mean, I'm a stand-up, so I'm very desensitized to that. I didn't hear anything that was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like when I saw, the reason I messaged you instead of talking to reporters sweetly like I have been was when I saw the Discord stuff because when I got there, it was like 2019. So I guess if the timelines add up, that would have been like handled, for lack of a better term. And then they started bringing more people on. You know, maybe they thought they had that under the rug, you know? All right, we handled that. Now let's bring in some writers, you know? And when I saw it, all that stuff start coming out. And the potentiality, as of this moment of recording, you know, I know this has been happening fast and stuff has been coming out so fast. Just the potential that Jimmy could have been in those Discord chats.
Well, it was confirmed actually that Jimmy was in the Discord. That was verified as true and real.
Or even the potential that he participated in those Discord chats. After the shit he did to me, if you're going to make fun of my dad, I don't care what happens to me and my career and reputation after this. I had to say some stuff. So,
I mean, what career though? He told what career? He said he's out of money from doing comedy. He took his 50K or 60K, whatever he had left over, used to fly around the country doing comedy tours, and now he's broke. What career is he sacrificing? He's gained by doing this video. And again, I do think he was mistreated, but he's not taking a lot of responsibility in that he agreed to do it and that he benefited greatly from doing so, and that he's leveraged this interview to gain what I think is in the realm of 60,000. No, it would be 80,000 subscribers he's gained from doing this.
Whatever happens at this point.
Outside of it, Chris Tyson, did you notice any or hear about any sexual misconduct at the company?
I've heard rumors. I can't confirm or deny anything. I don't have any tangible evidence, but I've heard stuff that if it could be investigated, that'd be great. But it's like water cooler talk. But I've heard things, yes, of course. I heard, you know, people have been let go for sexually assaulting some very young people. The idea that Jimmy didn't know or that Jimmy was covering stuff up. He didn't want stuff to come out. You know, he's very careful about his image. You know, the tangible proof that he knew but covered it up. You know, how do you prove that, you know? Well, there was a no.
Well, he did know. He was in the Discords with the miners. He was a roommate of Chris Tyson, which had the Shadman art on the wall prominently, the only piece of art on the wall, so he knew about that. He interacted with these people daily. There's no way he didn't know. And furthermore, there's a little bit at the end, like the last 6 minutes is apparently this is where the real fire is. We're about to find out how they actually employed a convicted SO person.
Sex offender.
To the point where they
sex
joke.
offender, convicted sex offender. On the registry and everything.
They put on the Gaussian blur too fast. That's a real editing fumble right here.
You know, the tangible proof that he knew but covered it up. You know, how do you prove that, you know? Well, there was a known
So put the blur's being put up preemptively.
Sex offender, registered sex offender, convicted sex offender, on the registry and everything.
Now, I actually have a copy of this. They're talking about this person, Delaware SO Central Registry. This person, J. Charles R., moderate risk level 2, registered since April 21st, 2010. And he is, for description, let me see. It says adjudication convictions, grape, 4th degree sexual intercourse, victim less than 18 years old, victim age 1 to 10 years, or 11 years, I suppose. Within 10 years is what I meant. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
Who worked there?
This video originally didn't have the blur. Oh, okay, so I guess it would be
like,
for
you can, you
liability
know,
reasons.
Someone pees in public, you're on the registry, you know, you get it. You can still have a job after you're on the, that's one thing. You know, you go to prison, you get rehabilitated, that's one thing. You know, like if you do your time, that's fine. I think there should be rehabilitation in this country. But that guy, from what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that. And he's working at a channel that has underage people on and around and is targeted to underage people. And they covered up the fact that not only did he work there, but he was like the manager when it all started. And you know that he knew, and because he'll be in videos, he'll be in thumbnails, he'll be around. And whenever he is.
All right. Let me just have a look at this picture. I want to see if his face is recognizable from that. I mean, he's got a beard. He's got a beard there, so you can't really tell, can you?
He's wearing a mask. Why would you wear a mask? Why would you conceal your face? It's like, what are you concealing? That you are a registered sex offender, and that your face could be looked up on a thing? How much more can you literally cover up a sex offender?
I mean, this last minute is really redeeming the previous 40 minutes. This is okay. This is pretty bad, yeah.
A physical mask. Like, do I have to? Is it more on the nose, or I don't know why they let him go, because there's rumors back and forth, you know. So I don't know why they let him go, but he did leave at one point. Even if that guy didn't do anything, they still knew about it, and he was still around. And what if he's one of the people that did?
Yeah, false convictions can happen, but because it's a child's channel, I don't see why you would even take the chance. Like, he could have got a job doing practically anything that didn't involve, like, being exposed to children. Like, he could have worked in a factory manager, something like that. Like, there is a really magnitude of jobs, and that's if he's innocent. However, that may not be the case.
But if he's not, I don't know. But when I was there, they called him Delaware. It's like, why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently, they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware. That's his nickname? Colloquially? Like, you know, yeah, it's Delaware. Don't ask him why. You know? The fuck?
That's pretty fucking messed up.
The likelihood that he didn't know is astronomically low.
All right, so finally I have a recorded phone conversation. The person on the other end of this line is a different former MrBeast employee. talking about Delaware. Also, apparently before this phone conversation,
There's a bit of a twist, by the way. Not to spoil anything, but there's a little bit of a twist that I'll reveal after the end of this video about Mr. Delaware.
I recorded, the person on the other end of the line said that the MrBeast team was actually trying to expunge Delaware's record off the registry, and that's what actually like sparked this person to start recording. Okay, so Reed is MrBeast's former manager who was in the last video telling Jimmy, hey, don't promote gambling to children. So, I think Reed's taken 2 W's this month, don't promote gambling to children and don't have offenders on payroll. Also, yeah, just from where I'm sitting, it seems extremely unlikely that Jimmy wouldn't know, but, I know I'm sure that's the defense he'll go with. So I'll just say preemptively, if somehow Jimmy didn't know about Delaware, I think
I'm going to pause it here because apparently C says upper echelon did a video on this and it has a clip of Jimmy calling him Delaware, which means he knew about the nickname. It's not even just they knew about the nickname, it's what the nickname implies. Like that it's just something just so jovial that they can just like have a bit of a chuckle around the office while they're filming a kid's video.
It's still such an extreme level of negligence. Like what you're not doing background checks. Everyone at your company knows, but somehow you don't know. I think that needs more of an explanation than just saying, I didn't know. Well, how didn't you know? How did this person get into the company and a company that makes content for children and is around children? So yeah, Jimmy, I think we need an explanation from you or
I'm going to talk about
your
the Jake
lawyers
stuff in a second.
and
Don't worry
PR
about
people
it,
and representatives and
Carlitos.
spokespersons and on how you could have not known that there was an offender at a high level in your company. And while you're responding to that, why not just respond to the allegations of rigging contest videos and selling fake signatures, running illegal lotteries, the dangerous conditions on the set of Beast games. You should address those too. So yeah, just let us know. Okay, that was my interview with former MrBeast employee Jake Weddle. I know he will be coming out with a longer cut of this interview as well as other content.
Well, actually, it's called the bigger, longer uncut interview, but it's half as long as this one. So I guess there's maybe some more details there, but it's not as long, definitely.
So I just wanted to shout him out, Jake Weddle, top link in the description.
I've waited a long time to talk about a lot of this publicly, so thank you for doing what you're doing.
Why is he zooming it in the water? That's a weird cinematic choice. All right. I'm not going to risk the copyright strike on that one. So here's the bit of the twist. The confirmed, at least confirmed on the register, the SO manager that they had working for them that was convicted of, well, it says I'm not sure if they're convicted. No, it says conviction. Yeah, convictions. Rape of a 4th degree sexual intercourse with a victim of less than 11 years. It turns out this person is well known by Jake the Viking. Now, Jake the Viking was one of the first people to come up and say hashtag Jimmy New, and he has been going pretty hard against MrBeast as a former MrBeast cast member. Well, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. That's his brother-in-law. That's how he knows. Jake the Viking's brother-in-law is this dude on the SO register. So he says, here's the truth. Yes, Delaware is my brother-in-law. He is a registered SO person. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl accused him and others of SA when she was 11. Delaware took a plea deal. That's why there was no jail time, but he still had to register. All right. It says he accused him of SA. Are you saying it's untrue? You're not. That's an important point to this. He took a plea deal. Did that mean he did it, or he copped to the deal? Like, what are you talking about? Let's see. If he was 16, so it would be 5 years ago. 5 years. So what would that be? So when he was 15, he's alleging when he was 15, he was having sexual something with a 11-year-old. All right, let's see. That's why there was no jail time, but he still had to register. His nickname isn't Delaware. Well, this is just blatantly false because people are literally calling him Delaware on the phone call. And also, MrBeast knew this name because he can't go back to Delaware. He's from Delaware. Oh, I see. They're saying the nickname isn't because he can't go back to Delaware. It's because he's from Delaware. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's been back several times. Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough. I maybe spoke too soon on that one. But I don't know about that. He was hired before I was, and it was actually the reason I got hired at MrBeast. Before being hired, Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue, Jimmy's mum, and explained them to everything. So yes, Jimmy knew. Confirmed, he knew. But then this incident happened back in 2010. Delaware was hired 7 to 8 years later. Delaware was also let go from the company before I was. Delaware was supposed to be behind-the-scenes manager, but in the couple of videos he was asked to partake because we needed people. He was reluctant, especially in the straitjacket video because of his charges, and that's why he wore the mask. Delaware's charges are set to be dropped this fall. Delaware has been nothing but a good person. Well, I mean, apart from an amazing sister, an amazing husband to my sister, and the best father of my 2 nieces that I could have asked for. They want no part in this, and they just want to live their lives away from the limelight. I understand why anyone would be upset and frustrated over these allegations, and I do not blame them. Hurting kids in any way is completely unacceptable. But in the case of Delaware, I firmly believe he did nothing wrong and look forward to the day that these charges are dropped. Well, okay, it's nice that you believe your brother-in-law did nothing wrong, but that doesn't actually say that he didn't do it, just that he took a plea deal. Even if we assume like a Romeo and Juliet situation where it's 2 young people sort of thing, he was 15 and she was 11. I don't know. That doesn't match up. That's some pedo shit there, right there. Again, like she's accused him of it, and he took a plea deal. But did he do anything? Like I assume there was something there. She came at him 5 years later. I mean, you'd have to get it unsealed to check, but like, who else do you know is from Delaware? Joe Biden. That's a funny one. Big old cope sip. Donna T says, 15 months. What's wrong with me? Suffer, Donna. Suffer, members. He was 16. She was 13. That's sophomore in high school with a 5th grader. Sick. Yeah, that's my opinion right there. Now, Jake the Viking says that he doesn't believe that he did anything wrong, but I'm not sure if that's enough for me. Let's see. Irrational Chad says, if you are on the registered sex offender register, it seems pretty obvious you should not be partaking in a YouTube video primarily aimed at children. At best, this is a grossly negligent oversight from MrBeast, but why didn't you flag this up, or did you, and were you ignored? Well, I mean, I agree with the first part of Irrational Chab's message, but like, Jake the Viking literally only got the job there because of his brother-in-law, the SO person. So this is a massive blow to this dude's credibility, Jake the Viking. And he's been one of the strongest people going hard at MrBeast. This is a pretty bad one. And DWalt with a 20 says, brrr. I guess it's the money printer going, brrr. Thank you for the 20. So that is the part 2 of the MrBeast expose. Apparently, episode 3 is going to contain the bulk of the SO stuff. I still have my problems with this dog pack guy. A lot of the stuff he puts in is there's nuggets in here that we have to mine for, but there's a lot of filler, and I feel like it could be a lot more succinct. Did you see that MrBeast announced a new toy line today? I did. Well, that was like a couple days ago. And yeah, it's again, not a good look at the moment right now. It's like literally kids for little toys. Sorry. Toys for little kids. Oh my goodness. It's time for that big gulp of coffee that I need, that I missed out on this morning. What did you guys think of this previous one? Do you think it's better than the last one? I feel like in the previous one we watched, the charity scam stuff, the fake signatures, that stuff is the good meat. But a lot of this stuff at the front is just superfluous. Again, the last 5 minutes of this one was pretty good, but the first 40 minutes, maybe not so much, in my opinion. Freudian slip of the tongue, yeah. Is what it is. Alrighty. So, unless there will be another stream tonight in approximately 8 hours, unless something really salacious drops, it'll be a cringe van review stream where me, Max, and BP, and maybe we'll even get Jeff on, because actually Jeff does feature in that a little bit, very briefly. So I hope you saved your member chat so you can ask him spicy questions. Bit of a jerk there, right? Stream site? No, I'm not going to stream site. I've got stuff that I need to do this afternoon. If there's anything really interesting happening in the next stuff, then it'll cover it on Sunday. Unless, like I said, unless it's like a massive bombshell. It'd have to be a really big bombshell for me to change my schedule. But tomorrow I'm busy. But yeah, Sunday I've got free, so maybe we can do that. That's right. Nick is streaming tonight. He's meant to go live right now, so it looks like you've got about 30 minutes to get ready if you want to go watch that. Is anyone else streaming right now? That's the question. Is anyone else streaming? Looks like is potentially Sean still streaming? No, his stream's finished. Oh, it finished 7 minutes ago. I was going to stream rate him. Oh well. What about this guy? Is he streaming? Everyone stop streaming. Dang it. All right then. No one. Oh, no, Sean just went to locals. I guess if you want to watch the stream tonight, you can watch it on Sean's channel. How about that? So with that said and done, I will see you guys again in about 7 hours. Peace. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. And oh wait, where's here's something you can look forward to this tonight on the Cringe Van reunion, I guess we'll call it.